It's not only Shabbat today, but it's also International Women's Day. And if anyone had a chance, Felicia wrote a really beautiful Toward Shabbat. If you haven't had a chance to read it, please do after Shabbat. And it's an incredibly hard time in the world, as we know, and in particular, a hard time for women. And just to name a few, which I think many of us are holding at all times, but we think about, and people may have been seeing articles and pieces about the 19 women who are still held hostage, and they're in our hearts at all moments. We think of mothers and children and women and girls in Gaza who can't feed their children, who are starving and suffering so enormously. We think about the assaults on women's reproductive rights and even the ability to have children through IVF. And we think of the barbaric sexual violence that was committed on October 7th, predominantly against women, and also then the denial of that in the world. And so it feels heavy. It feels heavy and also important today to recognize the strength and the power of women. And in our Parsha this week, there is one of the most spectacular midrashim that we find. Vayakel is the Parsha where finally we've been reading about our Mishkan and learning about this beautiful tabernacle and what it's supposed to look like. And this is the week where we finally build it. We see the dream become a reality. And in the building, all of the people bring whatever it is that they can to this Mishkan to help through gold and silver and copper and fine linens. Even imagining it, it's stunning. And the Torah tells us that the washstand that was in there, the kir, this sink that was used actually by the Kohanim, the priests, to purify themselves before doing their ritual work, was made of the nechoshet, this copper that was brought by the women. And it uses this strange language here of that the women brought them in their legions. It tells us, Vayas et hakir nechoshet, the 8 kano nechoshet, bamarot hatzovot asher tzavu petach ohel moed, that the women would bring their mirrors that they had that were made out of this nechoshet, that were made out of the copper, to the front and the entrance of the ohel moed, to the tent of meeting. And the Midrash tells us that when the women actually brought these mirrors, that Moshe wouldn't take them. Moshe didn't want to take the mirrors from the women because the women used these mirrors to look at themselves, and Moshe felt that this contribution shouldn't be a part of the Mishkan itself because the women would use them to make themselves beautiful, and that then they would cause temptation for all of the men who were around them, and that wasn't something we wanted to bring into the Mishkan, into this holy place. And the Midrash continues, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kabel. God says to Moshe, take the mirrors. Ki elu chavivin alai min hakol, because these mirrors are more precious to me. They're so desired to me more than anything else. Because these mirrors were the mirrors that were used by the women when they were in Egypt to make themselves beautiful and to tempt their husbands who were tired, who were aching, who were pained, both broken physically, emotionally, spiritually. And the women would take the mirrors, they would make themselves look beautiful, and they would tempt their husbands into procreating with them to keep the people going. They had this incredible ability, the women, to not only recognize that the world was slavery and only slavery, but they were able to use the mirrors to see beyond what it was that was holding them in this Meitzar, in this narrow and horrible place. It's hard to do that kind of work. It's hard to not feel like where we are now is where we will always be and to just give up. And it's the women in this story and these mirrors that they bring into the Mishkan that represent this ability to have hope and to have faith that things can and will get better. They have to. And not only do they have to, but to act toward that, to create a world in which will allow for everything to be set up for that moment of redemption. The women, even when in the straits of Egypt, they were stuck there, they could see beyond the current situation. They could dream of a future and of their redemption, even when they were enslaved. It's miraculous. It's something that sometimes feels like it's passed over. And this is why this midrash is so powerful. And as we go into a Shabbat of gathering and of community, may we learn from these incredibly audacious women how to see beyond our present reality, to remember that it can't and won't always be this way. It won't. It can't. We have to hold that. We have to see in the mirrors the beauty that can come after this moment. And on this Shabbat, the Shabbat of Ayakel and of International Women's Day, we hope that this Shabbat itself can act as a mirror, allowing us to have the courage to live beyond the confines of the world as it is, and into a world not only in which redemption is possible, but is shared and is a shared reality by every single person who's living in this world. Shabbat Shalom. May it be a beautiful Shabbat for all of us.